So today we're going to be talking about the Abrahamic religions. And since we're talking about the Abrahamic religions, we first need to talk about God. Now, way back in the annals of history, way back when, God and a man named Abraham had a very special connection. Now, I will spare you the details of why their connection was so special, but that's recorded in the canons of the Abrahamic religions. So they got along great. Now, from Abraham stems three of the world's major religions. So we're going to go through those right now. So let's start with the first of which is Judaism. Now, Judaism is the first Abrahamic religion. It dates back about 3,500 years ago. So it is not only the first Abrahamic religion, but it's also the oldest monotheistic religion. It's the oldest religion to believe in only one God. Religions prior to Judaism were mostly polytheistic. It is an ethnic religion, being that it's not really something that they're actively trying to convert people to that religion. So therefore, you really have to be born into that. Which makes it an ethnic religion and also kind of an ethnicity as well. The hearth goes back to the Levant, and that is basically what is now Israel and Jordan in that area. So it's right about there. The Holy Scripture, the canon that they read, is the Torah, which also comprises the Christian Old Testament. Taboos, they must keep kosher, so there are various rules about the foods that they're supposed to eat. The most common of which, the most well-known of which, would obviously be the forbidding of eating pork. So there's no carnitas in that religion. Distribution. So there are two key concepts that really apply to Judaism today, and that's first off the Jewish diaspora. So for most of modern history, there was no like Jewish country or Jewish homeland, if you will. All of the other major religions had kind of countries that supported, that specific religion, except Judaism. So it was scattered. The people were scattered, and that's what the diaspora means. Following the Holocaust and the loss of, somewhere between 6 and 9 million people, they realized that there should be a Jewish homeland. And the belief in a Jewish homeland is called Zionism. So Zionism is the belief that Jews should have a country of their own. That ultimately did happen in 1947 in the creation of the modern state, the country of Israel, which is a Jewish country. Which has stirred a lot of controversy, and which we will be studying more of, to be sure. Okay, so the next of which is Christianity. So it is the second of the Abrahamic religions. Jesus was I suppose, the founder of Christianity. His followers, known as Christians, believed him to be the Christ and worship him as the Son of God. So that really stems out of the Jewish tradition. Jesus was, a Jewish carpenter and all of those things. So the religion based off of, Jesus, known as Christianity, doesn't really get started until his death, and it didn't become an official religion realistically until the year 300, and that's when Constantine, a Roman emperor, adopted Christianity as a official state religion. This eventually splits into three different branches, which will actually be in a separate screencast. So you go ahead and click on the link and watch that one. The distribution today of those branches, North America is predominantly Protestant. South America is predominantly Catholic, Eastern Europe Orthodox, and Western Europe is kind of a mix between Protestant and Catholicism. As far as taboos go, we live in the West, and Western culture has pretty much been shaped by Christianity. So there's nothing too specific there. Just think about anything that's kind of seen as controversial in our society, and there's a pretty good chance that it actually stems from the Christian faith. Okay, now let's go to the third of which is Islam. It is the third of the Abrahamic religions. It was founded in about the year 500 by a man named Muhammad. They hold Jesus as a prophet, but not the Son of God. And that therein lies the catch. That's the controversies. Because Christians worship Jesus as the Son of God, they consider Jesus to be kind of a false prophet. And that's where the controversy lies between Christianity and Islam. There are two main branches of Islam, split between Sunni and Shia. Sunni is by far the more dominant. About 80% of Muslims are Sunni. The distribution of which throughout Southwest and Central and South Asia. We can actually go ahead and take a look at this. So here in orange, we've got mostly Sunni regions. So you can see here that it's spread, Islam itself spread throughout the quote unquote Middle East into North Africa, and then actually down into South Asia here, Indonesia being the country with the highest population of Muslims. But you can see right here, this is the geopolitical split right here. You can see that Saudi Arabia is probably the most dominant of the Sunni religions, probably because they house the sacred city of Mecca. Iran is the dominant Shia branch here, and these two countries compete a lot because of the different religions. Iraq here is split. It's mostly Sunni. It was ruled by a Shia government for many, many decades. That was, of course, Saddam Hussein. So when we went in and removed Saddam Hussein from power, it uprooted a lot of basically geopolitical, erupted a civil war between who's going to get to control this country between the Sunni and the Shia, and that's why there's been a civil war there for such a long time. But anyway, you can see the distribution of Islam. Of course, it's spread throughout Europe and North America through relocation diffusion. But that's where you find the predominant, the hearth of which, or maybe the core, the domain, this being these regions here. So taboos, a lot of the same things about pork, but then also they're forbidden from any alcohol, smoking, and of course women are supposed to dress conservatively, wear hijabs and things like that. So ultimately, there are a few things to take away. All three of these religions are Abrahamic. Abrahamic believed in this one God, so therefore all three of these religions, when they all pray to the God of Abraham. So they are ultimately three expressions of the same God, or praying to the same God. And the other thing to take away, of course, is that all three of these hold one city sacred, and that city is Jerusalem, and that's the geographically one of the most controversial cities on the planet because of these three religions trying to compete to control that city. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in future screencasts.